The first time I met Thomas, he was sitting quietly in the exam room, hands folded in his lap, eyes scanning the floor like he was waiting to be told something he already feared. At 67, he looked good on paper, no major heart issues, cholesterol under control, daily walks around the neighborhood, even a decent diet. But when I asked him how he felt, he hesitated. "I don't know, Doc," he finally said. "I just feel older than I am. Like I'm fading a little more every year. It's a phrase I've heard more times than I can count. I feel older than I am." And what's interesting is that most of the men who say it aren't dealing with major illness. They're dealing with something more subtle. A gradual dulling of vitality. Skin that doesn't glow the way it used to. Muscles that take longer to recover. Eyes that have lost a bit of spark. A mind that feels tired before the day's even begun. And in almost every case, they've come to accept it as just part of getting older. But what if I told you there's a missing piece? Something no one talks about, even though the science is there. Something you can do without a prescription, a gym membership, or a surgery. What if the way you treat your body in private, the way you connect with yourself, even in your most intimate moments, has a profound effect on how you age? Thomas blinked when I told him that. He laughed a little, nervously. "You're not telling me that could actually keep me young, are you?" I nodded. "That," I said, "and how you do it. It's not about shame. It's not about guilt. It's about reclaiming a connection to your body that fuels everything from hormone balance to cellular repair. You see, the truth most doctors won't say in a short visit is this: masturbation, particularly after 60, is not just about pleasure. It's a direct line to anti-aging mechanisms your body still knows how to use, but only if you let it. And it all begins with your hormones. As men age, testosterone naturally declines. You've heard that before. But what's often missed is how regular, healthy sexual stimulation, including masturbation, helps stabilize testosterone levels. And testosterone, as you may know, does far more than support libido. It protects bone density, maintains muscle mass, enhances mood, supports heart health, even keeps skin looking firm and elastic. Now let's layer in another player, growth hormone. This hormone spikes briefly during sexual arousal and orgasm, even in older adults. And growth hormone is like your body's natural youth serum. It supports tissue repair, helps reduce fat accumulation, and encourages the kind of deep, restorative sleep your body must have in order to repair itself properly. Thomas stared at me as if I'd handed him a key he didn't know existed. "All these years," he said, "I just assumed that part of life was behind me. But here's what no one tells you. Your biology doesn't shut down at 60. It slows down, yes. But it also adapts. And the more you give it what it needs, circulation, stimulation, emotional release, the more it responds with vitality. And there's more. When you masturbate mindfully, your body also increases blood flow throughout the pelvic region. This isn't just good for sexual function, it's good for everything. That blood flow carries oxygen and nutrients to skin, to organs, even to the brain. Which means better memory, sharper cognition, healthier skin tone, and more energy. Think of it this way: every time you experience climax, your body enters a brief state of full system engagement followed by deep relaxation. It's like a natural reset. A tune-up. And when that happens regularly, it reduces chronic inflammation, one of the biggest hidden culprits behind aging. But all of this only works when done with care. Not as a hurried act. Not as a guilty habit. But as a practice of self-respect. As a ritual of self-healing. That's what I taught Thomas. To approach his body not as something in decline, but as something still alive, still listening, still willing to respond. He started slowly. Once a week, then twice. He created quiet time for himself in the evening, not in a rush, not to get it over with, but to reconnect. No television. No distractions. Just breath, awareness, and presence. And over the following months, he came back with stories, not of dramatic miracles, but of real, grounded changes. He said he slept deeper. Felt more alert. Noticed his skin looking healthier in the mirror. Even his wife noticed he was standing taller, carrying himself with a kind of quiet confidence that had slowly disappeared over the years. I didn't expect it to feel so emotional, he told me one day. Like I was rediscovering a version of myself I'd forgotten. And that's the part most people miss. The anti-aging effect of masturbation after 60 isn't just about hormones or blood flow, it's about identity. When you treat your body like it still matters, like it's still worthy of pleasure and peace, your body responds. Not just with better numbers on a chart, but with light in your eyes. Strength in your step. A sense of belonging in your own skin. And it's not too late. In fact, the men who begin this journey in their 60s, 70s, and beyond often experience it more deeply than they ever did in youth. Because now, it's not about ego or performance. It's about healing. It's about truth. In the next part of our conversation, I'll take you even deeper into the science, how your nervous system responds to this act like a tonic for stress, how cellular regeneration gets boosted, and how this small, intimate habit could be one of the most important pieces of your longevity puzzle. Stay with me. The years ahead could be your strongest, your calmest, your most alive, if you allow your body the care it's quietly asking for. As we continue, I want you to set aside everything you've ever been told about what aging is supposed to look like. Forget the gray hair jokes, the passive language, the idea that you should be slowing down and fading out. Because the truth is, most of what we accept about growing older isn't rooted in biology, it's rooted in habit, in disconnection, in silence. But the body? The body still knows how to live, how to heal, how to turn inward and renew itself. The real question is whether you're willing to give it permission to do so. When Thomas began practicing mindful self-pleasure as part of his evening routine, he noticed something remarkable. Not just the physical benefits we talked about before, deeper sleep, more alert mornings, steadier energy, but something deeper. He said, "I don't feel like I'm waiting for the day to be over anymore. I feel like I'm part of it again." That, to me, is what real anti-aging is. It's not just having tighter skin or more hair on your head. It's about feeling present again. Awake. Reconnected to the moment. And here's the science behind why that happens. When you allow yourself regular, emotionally grounded sexual release, your body triggers a cascade of events that go far beyond pleasure. Your parasympathetic nervous system, the part responsible for rest and repair, takes the lead. It slows your heartbeat, lowers your blood pressure, tells your digestive system it's okay to do its job properly. It signals to your brain that stress can be put on hold. That's not just momentary relief, that's long-term protection against the slow grind of aging. You've probably heard about chronic inflammation being one of the root causes of disease as we age, everything from arthritis to heart disease to cognitive decline. What most people don't realize is that stress, tension, and unprocessed emotional weight are major drivers of that inflammation. But during orgasm, cortisol, the body's main stress hormone, drops significantly. Meanwhile, oxytocin, your bonding and healing hormone, rises. It's like your body's internal pharmacy opens its doors and says, "Here, let me help you heal." And that healing isn't just biochemical, it's cellular. Let's talk briefly about telomeres. These are the little caps at the end of your DNA strands, and they're often referred to as one of the most accurate biological markers of aging. As you age, your telomeres naturally shorten. But studies have shown that lifestyle factors like chronic stress can accelerate that process. Conversely, when you reduce stress and support hormonal balance, yes, even through something as simple as mindful masturbation, you slow down telomere shortening. That means slower aging. That means more time, more vitality, more life. Thomas didn't know the word telomere before we had this conversation. But he understood what I meant when I said this. When you treat yourself like you still matter, your body acts like it still wants to be here. That hit him hard. Because he had spent years moving through life like it was something to get through, not something to feel. And maybe you've done that too. Maybe there were years of raising children, building a career, holding everything together for everyone else, and now you find yourself in a quieter chapter, wondering what's left for you. Wondering where the spark went. I'm here to tell you, it's not gone. It's waiting. That spark doesn't have to come from a new project or a dramatic life change. It can come from the simplest, most personal place, the quiet return to yourself. to your breath, to your body, to your sense of being alive. And yes, sometimes that return begins with something as intimate as touch. Now, I want to acknowledge something here. For some of you, this might bring up discomfort. Maybe even resistance. Maybe you were raised in a culture or home that told you this kind of thing was dirty or shameful. Or maybe you've spent so many years ignoring your body that the idea of turning toward it now feels unfamiliar, even frightening. That's okay. You're not broken for feeling that way. You're human. And healing doesn't happen in one moment. It happens gently, with intention, with patience. That's why I always encourage starting with presence, not pressure. Don't think about goals or performance. Don't treat this like a task. Instead, think of it as a conversation. A quiet way of telling your body, I'm listening now. I haven't forgotten you. I'm ready to reconnect. That's what Thomas did. And in doing so, he experienced something he hadn't felt in years, a sense of lightness. Not just physical, but emotional. He said, it's like the version of me I thought I'd lost just showed up again. And this time, he's not in a hurry. That's the magic of this practice. It slows you down in all the right ways. It lets you become intimate with life again. And in that intimacy, the real anti-aging begins, not just because of hormones or science, but because of the way you begin to treat yourself. As someone worth touching, worth calming, worth caring for. In the final part of this conversation, I'll walk you through how to make this a consistent part of your life, not as a one-off experiment, but as a ritual of renewal. I'll show you how to build an environment of peace, how to talk to your partner if needed, and how this seemingly small practice can change the way you move through the world, with clarity, with strength, and with the kind of confidence that doesn't fade with time, it grows deeper. So stay with me. What you're about to hear may be the final piece of the puzzle you've been missing all these years. And once you find it, I believe you'll never again ask yourself whether you've still got something left to give. Because you do. So here we are, the final stretch of a conversation that, if you've come this far, has likely already stirred something inside you. A recognition, maybe. A memory. Or just a quiet knowing that yes, you have been missing something. And not because you're broken, not because you're too old, but because somewhere along the way, someone taught you to stop listening to your own body. Someone taught you to stop reaching for what kept you alive. Let me say this clearly before we go any further. Your capacity for pleasure is not a luxury. It's not a teenage indulgence. It's not a relic from your younger days. It is, and always has been, part of your health. Your healing. Your longevity. And now, it's time to put that understanding into practice. When Thomas fully embraced this shift, not just as an idea, but as a lifestyle, his body didn't just feel better. His entire sense of self changed. He started referring to his evening practice not as masturbation, but as renewal. And I think that word is perfect. Because that's what this becomes when you let go of guilt and replace it with presence. So let's talk about what that presence looks like. About what it means to truly integrate this ritual into your daily life, not as a secret, not as something to check off your list, but as a sacred pause. A return to yourself. Start with time. Set it aside with intention. Even if it's just 15 minutes at the end of your day, make it yours. Let it be unrushed. Not squeezed in between obligations, not something that depends on the mood or a distraction. Make it a gift you give yourself every single day. Create an environment that calms you. Dim the lights. Turn off the harsh noises. Make the room feel safe, warm, quiet. You're not trying to seduce someone else, you're inviting yourself back into your own experience. That alone deserves care. And when you begin, let your body lead. Don't worry about how long it takes. Don't worry about what it looks like or whether you should feel a certain way. Let your hands follow breath. Let your mind soften. Let every movement be an act of kindness, not of performance, not of escape, but of connection. What you'll begin to notice, over time, is that your body starts to remember. It remembers what calm feels like. It remembers how to rest. It remembers how to let go. And as that memory returns, so do other things. Your sleep deepens. Your stress levels shrink. Your skin begins to glow again, literally, because blood flow increases, oxygen reaches new layers, and hormones support elasticity. Your muscles ache less. Your energy returns faster after a walk or a task. Even your immune system gets stronger, because you're no longer living in a constant state of low-level tension. And perhaps most importantly, you begin to see yourself differently in the mirror. Not because your wrinkles disappear. Not because you magically shed years. But because you begin to carry yourself with the quiet pride of someone who has come home to their body. Someone who no longer treats aging like a retreat from life, but as a return to authenticity. Thomas used to say, "I felt like I was becoming invisible. Now," he says, "I feel like I'm still here." That's what this practice gave him. Not vanity. Not ego. Just presence. And presence, my friend, is the real antidote to aging. Now, if you're in a relationship, you might wonder how this fits in. Will your partner understand? Will they feel replaced? Or worse, will they feel like something's wrong? What I've found, over and over again, is that when these conversations are approached with honesty and heart, they deepen intimacy rather than threaten it. You're not turning away from your partner, you're coming back to yourself so that you can show up more fully with them. A man who knows his body, who knows how to care for his energy, his needs, his nervous system, brings presence into every interaction. That's attractive. That's grounding. That's love in its most mature and powerful form. And if you're single, or widowed, or simply navigating life on your own right now, this ritual becomes even more essential. Because you deserve pleasure. You deserve touch. You deserve the full spectrum of what it means to be human, not just memory, but sensation. Not just stories of your youth, but real, living moments of joy today. You don't need permission to come alive again. You only need to stop waiting for someone else to hand you back what's already yours. So as we close this conversation, I want to leave you with this truth: aging is not the end of vitality. It is the beginning of a new relationship with it. One that's slower, deeper, more honest, and yes, still pleasurable. Your body hasn't given up on you. Your skin still responds. Your heart still softens. Your breath still calms when you slow down enough to hear it. You don't need to chase youth. You need only to honor what remains fully alive in you. And that starts tonight. Not with a resolution. Not with pressure. But with presence. With the simple act of treating yourself like someone who matters. So if this message resonated with you, if it reminded you of what's possible, I invite you to take a small but powerful step, like this video. It helps others find their way to this conversation. And leave a comment below. Share your experience, your questions, your hesitations. You never know who might be reading and finding the courage to begin their own quiet journey back to self. And most importantly, subscribe to this channel. Because we're not done here. This is one of many conversations we'll have about health, about intimacy, about vitality after 60. Because the truth is, this chapter, it can be your most beautiful one yet. Until next time, take care of your heart, your body, and your breath. You've still got so much life to live. And I hope you choose to live it fully. Starting tonight.